season. Obviously, those Bishop Kenny kids came out and fought their tails off last night. Kudos to your staff, your kids, for fighting off a very hard challenge and winning that game late last night in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they did a good job of getting their guys ready to play, and I know they had a few guys back from injuries too, and they also had this freshman quarterback. I don't know his name, but he made plays all night. He was throwing the ball and running the ball pretty well, and they kind of got us down early, and they made a lot of good adjustments, and we were able to come back and get the win.
What's going on, Coach?
We're excited for these playoffs. I'm happy that we were able to escape Bishop Kenny.
What's going on, Coach?
Hey.
How you doing? I want to ask you about Mr. Jason Patterson. He put on a great performance last night. I hate to single players out, but this performance has to be recognized. Over almost 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. I know you have to be excited with what happened last night.
Yeah, I am. That was a great rushing performance by him. He does a great job for us, and he always does. I'm not sure. I got to look into the Ed White record books, but I think he may have broken the single-game rushing record for the school, and we've had a lot of great running backs who've come through there. So I have to double-check to make sure, but it's right up there if it's not number one.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be up there. And shout out to all the good running backs that came out of Ed White. But outside of that, Coach, outside of Patterson's performance, you have to love the way your team stuck together and fought back and came back to get that win. Can you talk about that and how you felt after the game when you look back on that?
Well, that's a good thing. I love to see them fight, and they did it. They fought all the way to the end. We were down 11 points pretty late in the game, and it was really because we made a lot of errors. So we had some early turnovers, and we got a little bit of rain out there, and things just weren't going our way. But we were able to overcome some of those things and get the win.
Head coach Law Johnson of Ed White, winners over Bishop Kenny last night, 34-31 in a playoff game. Ed White advances to next week. Coach, what do we know about Tallahassee Rickards?
Well, we don't know much about them. I've been kind of checking them out, looking at some of the highlights that they've got on Max Prep, and I've seen that they played some close games against some really good teams too, and they're a pretty good team. I think they're 3-1, and they're playing tonight. I don't know the result of their game from tonight, but I know we have our hands full, so our guys will come to practice ready to try to prepare to beat them.
You know, Coach, final question for you. The way this works, obviously, it's weird. It says Rickards had a bye. That's obviously not true. They just have a regular season game tonight. It's not like they get to rest their players or anything. You guys had a hard-fought game in the fourth quarter in a win-or-go-home situation one night ago. I would think that has to give you a little bit of a mental advantage, perhaps, over a Rickards team that will be experiencing their first playoff game next week.
Well, I hope so. And another kind of unique situation about those Tallahassee schools, I don't think they started playing until mid-September. So I think most of them only had 5 scheduled games. So we don't really know too much about them. They didn't get a lot of playing time in early. So I'm hoping that us in Duval County starting kind of on par with many of the other teams in the state or on time with the rest of those teams kind of gives us an advantage. But we'll see. I know they have some good players, and we still got to kind of go out there and make the plays.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the win last night. And whenever Jacksonville Public School, Tallahassee Public School get together in the state playoffs, always some bragging rights on the line. We'll have that next week with Rickards and Ed White. Are you guys are you at home next week?
Yes, we are.
All right, so Rickards has to travel down I-10. That's another advantage for Ed White, no question about that. Hey, Coach, congrats. Best of luck next week, and we certainly hope we're talking to you under the Friday Night Lights.
Thank you.
Congrats, Coach.
Law Johnson of Ed White. That is an advantage. I mean, look, the bottom line is that's a 2.5-hour drive, and you much rather be the home team in that situation than the team on the road. We'll get to Daryl Sutherland of Bartram Trail in just a moment. Before we head to St. Johns County Let's head back to Duval County. Rodney DeBose of Westside. They were winners in a playoff game last night over Yulee, 32-7. Coach DeBose joins us under the Friday Night Lights. Coach, congrats on the win one night ago.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot.
Dominating performance, obviously. And look, I mean, you and I talked about it. It was the situation. You kind of drew the short end of the stick there with having to go in a, quote, play-in game. You guys, look, in my opinion, are certainly better than that, but it's the way the draw went. But you guys got it done last night, and now you have a really intriguing matchup in 1 week against Reigns.
Well, we're excited about the opportunity. Like I said, we knew how it was going to be. We knew there was going to be a draw, and we knew it was. We just wanted to have the opportunity, and everybody in the state did. So, we're happy with it. I've never been afraid of playing ball games. You got to win in order to do anything anyway. So, had an opportunity to go out there to Yulee and play against Coach Flagler and that program out there, and was able to get the win. So, we're good with it, and on to the next one.
Coach, how does it feel to finally get to this point when you look back at the beginning of the season and prior to the season and the circumstances you face of not thinking that we'll get to this point? What do you have to say on that?
Well, I'm kind of the eternal optimist. Obviously, I'm always thinking if there's a want to do something, it can get done. I think obviously the most important thing was dealing with what our country was going through and our community was going through. But the opportunity for us to get together, being fortunate enough to be in Duval County, where, again, we've always kind of been ahead of the game on how we want to attack things and thinking things through. I always mentioned that every Friday was a holiday. And, thus far we've scheduled 8 and we played 8. So we've been blessed to do that. So just glad we made it. You can't go into anything thinking negative. So, we just kind of felt like we were just going to continue to do the right things, believe in the processes and protocols they put in place. And fortunately, we're here. And we feel like we're better at the end than we were at the beginning, and feel like we're right where we want to be.
Being that you've coached in playoff games, you went last year and probably coached previous years, do you think that does that help you prepare for next week's game and not put so much on yourself, being that you've been there before?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is how to help your kids handle it. Despite all the things that we do in preparation, all that good stuff we do, but we don't get to play. So the key is to make it make sense for your players. And then each team is different. Some teams, can handle a high level of intensity. Some teams just need to stay focused on who they are. And I think this whole season has been about, we here at Westside discovering who our team really is. So I feel like we're on pace. We're excited about the opportunity, of course, to play Reigns. My story is the same this year as it was last year. To be the team, you have to beat the team. And I've always given great respect to William and Reigns football for what they've done. And, in Duval County, they've proven themselves to be the team in the public schools. So obviously, if you want to be great, everybody wants to be a champion, but nobody wants to play anybody. Well, I'm always willing to play somebody. So we're excited for the opportunity.
Hey, Coach, final thought from you, Rodney DeBose of Westside. What do you take away from past year's games against Reigns? Are you going to the graveyard next week?
No, they're coming us.
Okay, so you have a home game. Well, that's interesting. So that's a little bit of a change from years past. But what about the games recently against them? What can you take away from them? Obviously, it's a new head coach over there, but I'm sure there's things you can draw from it.
Well, obviously, Donovan has been I believe he's the DC on that staff for years, and Donovan has played for Coach Wiley, and I've watched Donovan as a player, and Donovan's a great guy. I actually know the family. So, it's always, camaraderie when it comes to that. I think the biggest thing is I have great respect for them and what they do and their football knowledge and their preparation for their kids. I think our programs have some similarities in the things that we have to do in order to put our product on the field. As far as preparation, the biggest thing for us is, you have to respect your opponent, but you have to fear none. And I think many times, programs like Reigns and their history can be a little overwhelming. Well, for us, we played Reigns and we weren't overwhelmed. We lost the game. They were the better team that night. We took a trip to Valdosta this year. Again, another big-time program with a lot of that. But at the end of the day, we've learned that, you got to, it's 110 and 53. 120 and 53, and you got to go. You can only put 11 on the field at a time, and the team that executes the most times is a team that's probably going to win the ball game and doesn't turn it over and all that good stuff. And we have a real simple philosophy around here: when in doubt, run the hit. So if we do that, we'll be all right.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the win one night ago, and certainly that'll be a lot of fun next week. Reigns and West Side in the state playoffs. Thank you, Coach.
Congrats, Coach.
Thank you, guys, man. Excited about it. Happy to be in the playoffs, man. Let's get it.
Yes,
Rodney
sir.
DeBose of West Side. Verwin Dormany of Trinity Christian, one moment away. Before we go there, let's head out to St. Johns County. Daryl Sutherland of Bartram Trail. They were winners one night ago over that Reigns team, 42-26, capping off an absolutely incredible regular season for Bartram. Coach Sutherland is with us here on 1010XL. Coach, congrats on a terrific regular season.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
You know, Coach, always appreciate the time. And when you look back, wins over Creekside, St. Augustine, Oakleaf, Sandalwood, Mandarin, last night, Reigns. I mean, you have played, you know, the who's who here in Northeast Florida. You've won them all here locally. You must be very proud of your kids this season.
Really proud of the way our guys have grown throughout the season. You know, we had a young team, but we had some really good, solid senior guys that were leaders. And like I said, just really proud of. You know, there was so much uncertainty, and every week, as you know, a few of the other coaches have pointed out, every week has been a gift and a blessing. And just for them to stay focused on improvement and getting better with so much uncertainty in the area, I've really been proud of them.
Coach, when I look back on the history of Bartram Trail football, it has your name written all over it. And a couple of years back, you got a chance to play in the state game, and you came up a little short. And to me, I feel like you will not rest until that happens. Can you explain? Can you explain to us, you know, what's going on in your mind and how important that is for you to achieve that goal?
Well, I can tell you one thing. I've been really blessed with a fantastic administration, coaching staff that's just awesome and great young men. So I a lot of times get credit for a whole bunch of other people's hard work. You know, it's been a blessing and an honor to get to be at Bartram. You know, getting to take that group to the state finals was just a really neat experience, and it was a great opportunity to get to spend 5 extra weeks with a group of young men that I really loved, and that's what I'm hoping for again this year, is to get to, you know, every time we win, we get one more week with them. You know, I'm competitive, and I love to compete, and I want to go out and win every.
How do you handle
win-loss?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. How do you handle trying not to overthink next week's game, but also knowing the fact is when to go home?
Yeah, you know, all the stuff that we've been saying to them all season. It's, you know, Friday night is just one more night in the week where it's an opportunity to go out and play and have fun and try and get better. You know, even in game night, we want to still try and get better. And we try and take the pressure off of the game moment and talk about, you know, all the preparation that they put into it. That Friday night should really be about going out and celebrating all the work that you put in. And, you know, if we go out and do that and play to the best of our ability, then we've got to be happy with the result, no matter what it is.
Daryl Sutherland of Bartram Trail. Coach, final thought. You have a bye week next week, and then you get the winner of Oakleaf and Nice. You know, I mean, odds are it's probably going to be Oakleaf. Nothing against Nice, but Oakleaf is a very good team. Will you go out and watch that game next week, Coach? What's kind of your plan there?
You know, our plan, and I know this sounds like total coach speak, but our plan is Monday to come out and really try and focus on getting better. We've you know, this is a great week for a bye week too, and to have guys that we're getting back that are healthy, and you know, to be able to go back and really start to focus on some of the game plan things that we want to do moving forward, just to get better on offense and defense and special teams. That's really what our process is going to be this week.
Well, Coach, congrats again. An absolutely superb regular season. You guys have played them all almost here in Northeast Florida. A lot of quality wins, and best of luck in the postseason in a couple of weeks.
I appreciate it. You guys have a great weekend. God bless.
Daryl Sutherland of Bartram Trail. Trinity Christian was a winner last night, 29-6 over Ribault. Verwin Dormany of Trinity Christian, always kind enough to join us here under the Friday Night Lights. Coach, congrats to you as well on another terrific regular season there at Trinity.
Hey, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Coach, we always appreciate the time, and we say it every week, man. Your defense is incredible. Last night, your offense obviously put it together, too. That Ribault team is better than their record would indicate, and for you to get a 29-6 win, You must be pretty proud of your kids.
You're right. You're right, Hack. Ribault is a really good football team. They have some great athletes. I think if we went back and watched, I think almost every film that they had before we played them, and they were in every game except I think they made a couple of mistakes in the range game that resulted in a couple of score difference in the end of the game. But they were in every game, and they got. I mean, their coach, Coach White's doing a great job. I know it's his first year there, but you know what? Give him a few years, and he'll have them going in the right direction, and they'll win a lot of football games.
Coach, I have to take you down memory lane, and when you look back on your state championships, and when you look at this team right here, some has to tell me that you really would love to win a state championship with this team because of the team it is, and it kind of proves yourself as a coach that, a lot of people feel like, hey, he needs all the 5 stars, but this team right here is a high caliber team. I know it has to mean a lot to you. Probably just not this year, but year in and year out.
It does. You know what? These kids work really, really hard, and we have talked about it this week that, we've been working hard since June the 1st, and there was no breaks. We didn't get any time off this year. We went from June the 1st all the way through to the time we put pads on. Other than about probably 5 or 6 days in there where we had a couple of kids test positive, and so we stayed away. And that was back in midsummer. Our kids have worked really hard. It's a great group of kids. You know what? The good thing about them, they love each other. They work hard for each other, and our motto has always been for a long, long time, we have to genuinely care about each other. When you get kids to do that, it's easy to coach on Friday nights.
Yes, sir. And how do you go about preparing players that, that haven't played in these type games or don't have playoff game experience?
I think a lot of it goes back to the older players that come back, or the older players that speak into their lives about what it is like or what it was like to play deep into the playoffs. Some of these kids, they were in the 9th grade when we played in 2016, and I think we won the state championship that year. So they kind of understand what it is to get there, but to be the kids that get there and win it, that's one of their goals. And you know what? I told them, I said, next week there's 32 teams to play. After that, there's only 16. And so you have to prepare. You have to stay focused, and you have to work hard toward what you've been working for all year long.
Verwin Dormany of Trinity Christian. Coach, final thought. When the playoff brackets came out, we tried not to look too far ahead, but that Trinity-Baldwin game jumped out. All right, it just jumped out. And now Baldwin is on the verge of capping a perfect regular season tonight over Middleburg. Have played out of your minds since that opening game against Bowles. I mean, I don't know. You look around the entire state, I don't know if there's many more games that are going to have first-round implications than, 8-1 Trinity and 9-0 Baldwin or whatever it is. That's a great first-round game next week, Coach.
It really is. You know what? And you look into that game and you think, well, the good thing about it is Baldwin's only 8 miles down the road from Trinity. So that means I'm going to get home early.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. That's right. But it will be a lot of fun though. I mean, because that Baldwin team, they are really good, and they're one of the surprises certainly.
No, they are. They're really good, and they've had a couple of great seasons they put together in the past few years. And our kids, know their kids. They play. Football together at Sweetwater, a lot of them. And so it's going to be just a lot of fun just to get together and play that football game next week.
Well, Coach, we're certainly looking forward to it. Trinity Baldwin next week in the first round of the state playoffs. Verwin Dormany of Trinity Christian. Coach, thank you, my friend.
Congrats,
Hey,
Coach.
thanks, Hack. I appreciate you. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on. Y'all have a great weekend.
Update. Went over Yulee. That was a playoff game. West Side advances. Ed 34-31 over Bishop Kenny. That was a playoff game. Ed White advances. Daytona Beach Mainland 7-3 over Bowles. Good win for Mainland. Bowles will not be happy going into the postseason next week. Sandalwood 29-0 over Jackson. Sandalwood will play Mandarin next week in the first round of the state playoffs. We just talked to Rowan Dormady, Trinity Christian, a 29-6 winner over Ribault. Bartram Trail 42-26 over Rains. Tony, as far as tonight, Oakleaf 41-14 over Clay. That's a statement for Oakleaf. All right, they have 3 losses on the year to 3 really good teams. That Clay team was 7-0. That Clay team was hurting people. And for Oakleaf to be up 41-14, that's Oakleaf saying, hey, not so fast. Remember us when the postseason begins.
Yeah, but for Clay to put up 14, I really want to question, did they sit some players tonight? Were they resting and getting ready for next week?
I don't know. We'll talk to Frank Garris about it. But if you're up 27 points on a team that's undefeated,
Against Clay,
I would think Oakleaf's had a pretty good night.
Yeah, no knock to Oakleaf neither. You know, those guys are probably getting ready, tuned up for next week.
West Nassau 34-20 over Ridgeview. Baldwin 20-0 over Middleburg. None of these games have officially gone final. All these are in the fourth quarter. Atlantic Coast 27-21 over Nice in the fourth quarter. University Christian, a playoff game tonight for UC. They're up 28-0 in the fourth over Monroe Day. Lake City Columbia, Tony, leads your alma mater, Inglewood, 21-7.
Come on, let's go, Rams.
That is a playoff game. Games that have gone final. Creekside, 26-9 over Ponte Vedra. Matanzas, 13-3 over Menendez. Episcopal eliminates Wolfson in the playoffs. Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
Hack.
a winless year for Wolfson. 42-7 Episcopal. And Fletcher is a final 28-13 over the Mandarin Mustangs. We'll kind of give you a lay of the land as far as playoff action next week, who's playing who, more victorious head coaches to come. We're with you till 11 o'clock, Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. It is the Friday Night Lights postgame. We are presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with Tony Williams. The hacker Ryan Green with you here on 92.5 FM.
To give to Robinson again. Got it near the goal line.
Now that's a touchdown, guys.
Couldn't be more proud of how hard